Hey everybody, good Wednesday morning. It's First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Another beautiful autumn day. We've had a nice stretch of cool weather in the mornings and these nice mild afternoons. That's going to continue today with temperatures back into the 60s, but some big changes for the end of the week. A lot of folks talking about this miserable rain that I've been talking about, it seems like since last week, that we're going to see coming up at the end of the week. Let me show you where it's coming from, because I think there's a little bit of this, we like to play things up sometimes in the news that this is a hurricane. It's not really a hurricane heading our way. What happened was Willa was a hurricane yesterday. It is no longer anything. You can look over Mexico. You can barely tell that a hurricane made landfall yesterday. One thing about the geography of Mexico is you've got the Sierra Madre Mountains here in a big plateau. The elevations here are between 6,000 and 10,000 feet. So no tropical system is going to make it across that part of Mexico. So it's no longer a system, but the moisture is left over, and it's going to merge with an existing low pressure system over Texas and a frontal system here. It's going to become a new low pressure system, not a tropical system, but just a good old fashioned low pressure system. In fact, I would equate this more to a winter storm kind of storm track and setup. Now, what's going to make this kind of interesting as we go into the weekend is this eventually will move up the East Coast and become a nor'easter. Now, that's more of an impact for the coastal sections and parts of the Northeast, where they're going to get cold rain and even some interior snow. For us, it's going to basically equate to a miserable cold rain, because you could see there's a big area of high pressure over the Midwest here, really cold temperatures. You see those temperatures in the 30s and 40s. That cold air is going to be pumping down while the low pressure moves to the east. So we are going to see pretty much an all-day rain on Friday. I don't like to use the word washout because it's rare we have a washout, but in this case, this is kind of the setup for an all-day rain, and I'm going to show you why. We'll go to the model setup here. So this is our short-range model. The first thing you'll notice, this big, sprawling high-pressure system. So these blue lines are what we call isobars. They're lines of equal pressure. They basically show where the highs and lows are. And you can see this is a big monster high-pressure system with cold Canadian air. Now, that's important to watch where that is, at the same time to keep an eye on where this low pressure developing over Texas Gulf Coast is. You can see another area, low pressure developing there. So you got high pressure here, and remember, flow around high pressure is clockwise, low pressure flow is counterclockwise. So this is why you get all this rain as this moisture gets lifted and pushed up and over that cool air at the surface. So we'll go through today, and again, not much going on except for the high pressure centered over Michigan starts to really pump in that northeast wind. This is kind of what we call the wedge in the Carolinas. Cold air is shallow, it's dense, it hugs the ground. It gets pushed down the eastern slopes of the mountains, and the mountains trap it against the mountains. And you can see right there the way these isobars are oriented. That's a sign that you're getting cold air being pushed down. And it's cold, dry air, which is important because as the first bands of moisture come up, really tomorrow, a lot of it's going to evaporate. It's called virga. It falls and it evaporates before reaching the ground because the air is so dry. Well, if you've ever sweated in the summer, or you've gotten out of the shower or the tub or the pool, you know how you feel chilly. That's because the water evaporates off your skin, makes you feel cold. Well, same thing happens in the atmosphere. As that moisture moves in, it causes the air to get colder. So this is actually a process which will make the air get chilly and even colder and colder as we go into Friday. So by the time we get to Friday morning, now a lot of what you're seeing over the Carolinas here tomorrow, that's the high clouds. That's virga. That's not reaching the ground. But as we get towards Friday morning, or really late tomorrow night, you can see this is about 2 o'clock Friday morning. You can see we're starting to see some bands of rain move in. Now remember, at the same time, cold air is being pumped in from the north. The low pressure system is down here east of New Orleans right now, and it's going to jump to the coast. And what I mean by that is it reforms off the southeast coast. So this is really Friday morning, and that is a miserable cold rain there. Pockets of moderate rain mixed in there, but it's pretty much on and off the whole time, either mist, drizzle, or light to moderate rain. Now, as we go through time, you'll see that the rain kind of sticks with us through most of Friday. This is into the afternoon hours. The low pressure reforms here off the South Carolina coast. This is the new low right here. And this is where it starts to take on the configuration of a nor'easter. And a nor'easter, most people think that means it happens in the northeast. It means that's the direction of the wind at the coast. The winds come out of the northeast. So with low pressure, the wind is coming from the northeast. That's where the name nor'easter comes from. Not that it happens in the northeast, because believe it or not, you can get nor'easters even off the east coast of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. So it's not something just confined to the northeast. I think people forget why these storms get that name. It's about the wind direction they produce. So we'll go through Friday afternoon, and this is why it's not almost a complete washout, but it probably will feel like it. This is a 426 on Friday afternoon. Notice the heavy rain starts to shift north, but there's still a lot of mist and drizzle and light rain. So while it won't be really heavy Friday evening, it's pretty much still going to be coming down. And then it begins to break up as we go into the overnight hours. So going into Saturday, you can see the nor'easter. This is really Friday night. Nor'easter's cranking up here. Here comes that flow, and there's that persistent northeast wind along the coast. There's still some moisture on the backside that'll wrap in. So Saturday's weather will be these little bands of showers wrapping around the backside. So the weather will improve through the weekend, but just know Friday's a miserable rain pretty much all day. Saturday, it's kind of drizzly, misty in the morning, maybe a scattered shower, but rain chances diminish with time on Saturday, and even better on Sunday. Of course, I'll have you covered throughout the weekend, and tonight coming up at 4, 5, and 6 on NBC Charlotte, we'll break this down for you. The one thing about all this, the whole time, temperatures will be in the 40s, so it will be a cold, cold rain. Have a great Wednesday, everybody.